Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next in the mini-series, The New Normal in Government Contracting. I am so lucky to have with me today Mark Amtower, the managing partner of Amtower Company. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Great, Courtney. Yourself?
Good. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, as most of you probably already know, Mark is the godfather of government contracting and has a special expertise in social media and even more specifically, LinkedIn. So what we're here to talk about today in this COVID environment is how is it that companies pivot in terms of marketing as well as even more specifically government contractors are going to need to pivot in terms of marketing, LinkedIn, and all of those sorts of things. So Mark was kind enough to write a great blog post for us this month. You can see it on our blog site. And we're going to chat with him just a little bit about all of this. So Mark, why don't we start off with more personally for you, the Mark Amtower and Company. What has changed for you in this environment in the last 2 to 3 months? What have you been forced to do in terms of business practice change?
Well, I've been a solo consultant for 35 years in this market. So I'm used to working from home, number one. But over the past couple of years, I've been doing more virtual consulting anyway. But what this situation, the COVID crisis, has forced me to do is leverage more of the virtual meeting platforms like Zoom, like GoToMeeting. I had a conversation with Erica Pyatt, who runs LinkedIn locally, and they accelerated their release of their online meeting capability. So we can now actually meet on LinkedIn. I haven't done that yet. I'm planning on testing it actually this afternoon with a couple of friends of mine to see, if it goes one-on-one, one-on-many, how it works, and is it as nice as, the visual here and the audio here on Zoom are great.
Right. Yeah, there's so many different platforms. And certainly technology is a huge part of how we're all going to keep the continuity of business as we're not in an office, which, as you say, you weren't necessarily always with your clients to begin with. So you probably started a little bit ahead of the game from that perspective.
Yeah, my clients have been all over the country for the last 35 years. And, to pry my butt out of my office usually costs more. And,
right.
In the 90s, I had no choice. In the early 2000s, I started having choices. Now, good luck getting me out of here.
Do you think that that's something that's going to stay as we are adapting? Are you seeing your clients more or happier to adopt the practices? Or do you think it's as soon as we can go back, we're going to be jammed back in the conference room?
I'm not quite sure how much of the old normal will come into play. The new normal will have to incorporate telework, virtual meetings. We don't know when we can actually go visit govies anymore, right?
Right.
So right now it's not until beginning of FY21 is what I'm hearing. So
that's a good segue. What do you think is specific about some of the marketing practices for federal contractors that are problematic in this environment, or has it become easier? Because it's virtual anyway, is it actually easier to get in touch with some of these government points of contact, et cetera?
Well, we know that during their stay-at-home time, they've been spending more time on their social networks of preference as well. So Facebook and LinkedIn have been the major beneficiaries for work. I consider LinkedIn to be not only head and shoulders, but truly, vastly above any other social network, because I can find 2.1 million feds on LinkedIn by agency, by operating division, by job title. I can find pretty much anybody I need to find for my clients. So
I think that
they're
is
there.
what you just said is the misnomer of LinkedIn. Our government contracting clients often say to us, "Oh, we don't need that because our clients are, are govies, and therefore they're not on LinkedIn, or we don't need that website or whatever." That is exactly what I was thinking too.
No, that's why I do my census every year, because I was telling people back in late 2010 that govies were coming on to LinkedIn. And I just got tired of people saying, well, you don't know that. You don't, So every February, I release a census of feds on LinkedIn, and it's on my blog at federaldirect.net. And you can go there and see by agency. You can look up any federal cabinet department, agency, or major operating division within as a company, and you'll see them, and you can click on, this many employees here. Boom, go there. They're there.
So what are the opportunities now we know they're on LinkedIn?
Mhm.
What do you suggest in terms of, the ways to get their attention on LinkedIn?
First of all, have a profile that clearly enunciates who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. So what you don't want is your headline to read, account rep, or some sort of sales title. If you're focused on a specific agency, I facilitate data analytics at USDA. I help with organization at the Department of Energy. So say what you do and who you do it for as your headline. So when they come on, or when you reach out and they go to your profile, they aren't seeing that you're a sales guy trying to sell them
Right.
something, that you actually have been doing this for some length of time. So that's
Yeah.
step number one. And step number two would be never send the form letter.
What about people that just reach out for connection without a note, right? So when I'm on LinkedIn and I just get a, XYZ person that I've never heard of wants to connect. What's your thought on those, on that kind of connection?
I I teach people to always put your connections in context. So if I'm reaching out to a govie or a contractor or another LinkedIn expert, I say, hey, I've been reading your stuff, or we share, 200 connections and an interest in the government market. And if I don't reach out to feds very often. I have several hundred connections, but most of them have reached out to me. Not sure why, but
I
they
was
have.
going to say, wait, that's an important point, right? How do I get the feds to reach out to me as a government contractor?
I
What are
generate
you doing?
I generate a ton of content literally on a weekly basis. So I have the radio show. I do a column for Washington Technology. I guest blog for people like you. I have my own blog. I post on LinkedIn. I'm addicted to this market, and it shows. So I can't say why they reach out, but of my 10,000, just under 10,000 connections, probably 400 plus are senior feds.
Because these things didn't exist before. And there is this old set mindset of a government contractor, I think, right? So that we have new generation and older generation. I'll even put myself into that may be afraid of that technology. How do you get your clients to embrace these methodologies, either whether it's on LinkedIn or, how do you coach them through that?
Well, I mean, there are some people that I coached several years ago who still really uh, never adopted. Um, so,
Right.
well,
We all
I
have
mean,
those.
you can lead a horse to water, but a lot of the people, I show them what they can do with the platform. How do you reach out to people? How do you communicate? How do you share information with people? And you can do all of this on LinkedIn. It's all part of the social selling process.
Right.
But it's got to be a soft sell. But what the sales and BD people needed to hear earlier, and it's still true even in our current environment, is social selling is an adjunct activity. It's not necessarily a primary activity. You still do the normal sales and BD activities, minus right now FaceTime with, unless you're talking about the app, you don't have FaceTime. So we have
Right.
this. So employ this, use this. This is a great tool. And if you use it well, you're saving all of that travel time. So you can, meet with probably 3 or 4 times as many people
For sure.
in any environment. If you reach out properly, not send the form letter on LinkedIn, but actually put it in some form of context, it's not really a cold call. It's not really a warm call, but it's somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I noticed you looked at my profile. LinkedIn suggested we connect. I've been working with your agency for X number of years. I see that you're going to be deploying this technology in the near term. There's a lot of
Right.
messages that you can use here and combine here.
No,
To
I absolutely can appreciate that. So I don't want to take up more of your morning. This has been so helpful. As I said, we're going to have your post, the guest blog up this month, and I encourage everyone to get in touch with Mark Amtower at Amtower Company. There is nobody better at helping you, whether you want to train your staff and you may have the BD staff that needs to get trained, whether you need to coach up yourselves or you need a great speaker. Mark Amtower's your man. I'm going to let you have the last word. What are sort of your final thought on COVID related, either marketing or, how to manage that anxiety right now?
the big word here, I think, would be adapt. Everybody's adapting to this. I mean, I've been home based for a long time, but I'm still adapting to virtual meetings, not just once or twice a week, but 3 or 4 times a day.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever you need to adapt to, LinkedIn, the new meetings, whatever tools your agency is affording you, if you're a govy, and if you're a contractor, be very cognizant of the tools that the feds are allowing their employees to use. And this varies from agency to agency. So meeting platforms, you can assume certain things, but there's only 3 of them that have been FedRAMP authorized. So,
No, I
and
think that's really good advice. Knowing how you're going to make that connection is as important as anything else.
yep.
Well, thank you so much. I always appreciate your time, and it's good to see you when I can't see you in a room. I cannot thank you
Virtual
enough
hug.
for being with us. Virtual hug, everyone. Thanks to our audience for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you again on our next session of the New Normal in Government Contracting. Have a great day, everyone.